What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Comic Swag. Today we're going to be covering some more X-Men. This would be episode 10. We're going to be covering issues X-Men 106 all the way to 110. Now, this would start from August of 1977 and it would end in February of 1978. Okay, so on the previous episode, we had left off where the X-Men went through a teleport and they ended up in space. And back on Earth, we stayed with Professor X, Misty May, Moira McTaggart, and Fire Lord. So now Professor X is tripping out right here because everybody has left. And he starts having these nightmares. And in these nightmares, he sees the old X-Men team fighting with the new X-Men team. Meaning the classic X-Men, right? Beast, Angel, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Iceman. You know, in the old classic uniforms. In the danger room, and he's having this like nightmare. It's all going on in his head. It's not happening for reals because at this point, remember, the X-Men had just teleported to space. So while he's going through all this, Misty May and Firelord are like, what's wrong with Professor Xavier? He's like dreaming, but he's like in a cold sweat, right? He's sweating, he's moving around, and through this dream somehow he's fighting some force or something, right? So it's not made quite clear how, but basically what happens here is, you remember Havoc and Polaris had been brainwashed by Eric the Red. So he broke them free. They're no longer brainwashed. They're no longer under his control. Issue pretty much ends there. Then we jump into issue 107. So now we're back into the juicy stuff, right? Where the X-Men are in space. Okay, I love this two-page spread immediately on the second page by Cockrum here. We get introduced to like a million new characters, right? There's a bunch of new characters here. You know, you have landed in space. There's aliens from all kinds of different planets, right? So you know this is a big scope type of story where we're in space, we're in a galaxy, so it's not just one species, right? There's a lot of different alien races here, and they're all looking at the X-Men, like, who are these guys that just magically appeared in our empire or our spaceship, right? So the X-Men are telling them, we're here to stop Eric the Red and your emperor. They're explaining to they're called the Shi'ar Empire. This is our first meeting with the Shi'ar Empire. It's all new to us. We're just barely being introduced to them for the first time, and they're explaining to them, they're meaning the X-Men, that Elandra has sent them and that their emperor has gone nuts. He's on this power trip, right? So they say, no, the betrayer is Elandra. We want her because she disobeyed the emperor. Naturally, now we're at odds. There's a disagreement, so all hell breaks loose. The X-Men are outgunned because there's like 5 or 6 of them against like 20 other new characters, right? So they have the home field advantage here, and they get into this huge, massive fight. Here, Elandra is telling her brother, stop the madness before it's too late. And he gets mad at her backtalk, so he summons this creature. It's called the Soul Drinker. So he's here to basically eat her or like execute her, right? The X-Men see this, they run to her rescue, and they kind of stop fighting with the other aliens. Nightcrawler, with his teleporting abilities, he teleports to where Elandra's at, breaks her free. They escape from this Soul Drinker, and then Elandra starts explaining to everybody. She says, the horror began when my Imperial brother discovered the existence and location of an ancient force, the deadliest weapon in history, and he wanted it for himself. I opposed his plan in council, and he had me arrested. She somehow got a telepathic link to Professor Xavier, so they try to track down this Professor Xavier because they also have telepathic aliens and whatnot, right? So they knew, okay, he's in Earth. So they went to Earth, and she's basically explained everything we've seen up to this point, right? Okay, so now as she's explained everything to the Empire, now they're all caught up on everything us as the reader know about already, right? And when she's explaining this, Gladiator, oh, this guy's such a douchebag, and he rudely interrupts her. And he says,
hey, princess, so what if he's trying to get this power, right? What right have you to deny it to him? He's your emperor. You swore an oath to serve him.
like, this guy just heard that he's on a power trip, he's going mad, and it's like it went in one ear and out the other for this guy, right? He came out real douche and annoying, but at this point, I guess he's not necessarily a villain, neither are any of the Shi'ar Empire, but they come off very ignorant, and they just don't want to listen. They're not paying attention to what's going on here, right? So they come off more frustrating as just being ignorant, kind of, more than they do as being villainous. So anyways, this argument leads to another fight. So the fight pops off between the two squads again. While they're fighting, Gladiator grabs Elandra and he says,
"And to think, once I could have cared for such as you."
and she says, "Gladiator, I seek to save the Empire. Don't you know the Emperor Deacon will destroy it?" And he says,
"How do you know this?"
as this is going down, space pirates show up, right? It's the Starjammers. So we're like, holy shit, they made a grand entrance, a big splash page. And now we know they're in the side of the X-Men. So this has kind of now changed the playing field, right? Where now they kind of have the advantage and the element of surprise. They did not expect these characters to pop up out of nowhere. The Starjammers here, they came off real heroic. They just came in, kicking ass and taking names later, right? So they look like they really saved the X-Men's ass right here, because they were really badly outnumbered and losing this battle, right? So once the X-Men and the Starjammers dismantle the Share Empire, at least for the time being, the only one left standing is Emperor Deacon, right? And he says, "Oh, you're too late, because this diamond, which is the weapon they're looking for, I guess, it starts glowing." And he talks about how it's been activated. So the X-Men must go to this diamond and somehow figure out how you turn this thing off. Okay, so we're jumping into issue 108, and here the artist changes for the first time in this run. We have a new artist. This is John Byrne, and Dave Cockrum seems to be finished right when we were getting right into the thick of things, right? The grand finale, if you will. So the beginning of the next issue, the X-Men are looking at this big diamond, trying to figure out how do they stop it from destroying the universe. Back on Earth, we have the Avengers here, Beast, Captain America, Black Panther, and so on and so on. They're all talking to the Fantastic Four and to the president, the government. Everyone says there was a glitch in time, so they know something's up, something big is going down. This is the end of the galaxy as we know it, and everybody else is figuring this out as well. The only ones that can save the galaxy is the X-Men, because they're actually in space around. So yeah, guys, no pressure. It's not like the stakes are high or anything like that, right? So the X-Men are looking at this diamond, and there's this little dwarf right here, this alien dwarf, and he's the protector, that he's not gonna let them in. And they're explaining to him, this could be the end of the galaxy, so everybody, including you, will die. You should just let us in. He says, while I do believe you guys, I've been sworn to protect this. So he can't let them, and he's manhandling the X-Men. He's way stronger than he looks. So it turns out he was some type of robot. Once they destroy him, they go, that was just the first protector. Now even bigger and stronger robot shows up. And it's like, if you beat this bigger and stronger robot, another bigger and more stronger robot will show up. So this is just gonna keep happening over and over. Basically, they'll never be able to get into this diamond or shut it off. So one of the Starjammers named Raza, he just gets frustrated with the whole situation. He lifts up the Emperor Dakin, and he says, "It's all your fault. The fabric of time itself is collapsing." He throws this guy off a cliff. So here it says, the Emperor screams as his body hits parts of the crystal, but he does not die. Instead, there's a blinding light, a ghostly image of time spinning. The X-Men now appear inside the crystal. It looks like something out of Star Trek here for me again. It looks real nice and kind of trippy. You get the sci-fi space feel here. We get this close-up of Jean Grey. She sees this orb. It's like the light of the life force of the crystal. She says,
"Scott, I sense such beauty in this." And then she says, "But beauty as we know it has no meaning here."
and it's a close-up of Jean Grey as she walks towards this crystal and she touches it. Immediately the art, to me, it just ramped it up to another level. Now that we got this new artist, when he does close-ups, you immediately see the difference, and to me, the quality in art is an improvement from the previous artist. Not that the previous artist was bad, but this is just on another level. So when she touches this life force, her mind goes insane. She's seeing all kinds of images and whatnot, and so is everybody else. They're all seeing their worst, whatever they fear the most, turning on them, right? And the art does a good job of showing everybody tripping out and seeing something different. Now that Jean has to fight this thing, we see the Dark Phoenix, the Firebird she has, comes to life again. It resurfaces. This is something that had took a hold of her when they landed from space the previous time. So she's using this force field to fight the life force field of the orb, right? And this looks like real epic. The way it's drawn, you could tell it's a big thing going down, and it looks real epic to me when I'm seeing this. And it's taking a lot out of Jean Grey, but again, it's making her the hero. She's clearly in these 12 issues is the most powerful X-Men, and she's always kind of the hero, saving not just the day and not just the block, not just the city, not just the planet, but she's always saving like the whole universe. So she's like on another level of heroism. She now not only saved the universe, but brought all the X-Men back through the portal back to Earth. Wow, what a hell of an ending here. This was like iconic. This was big time. And when this ends, we still have some loose ends to tie up, right? Like Elandra's back on Earth, and remember, everybody was against her in space. The Alashir Empire are gunning for her head, right? But once they saw everything that went down, that the whole universe was saved, she made the right call, and the Emperor was actually bad. They go, you're not allowed to defy the Emperor. But you were correct. So how can we really punish you or take you to jail, considering you helped save the world by warning everybody, right? So they say this is gonna be a long trial in space. So meanwhile, stay on Earth, lay low, while all these legal terms and galaxy laws and whatnot get fixed. So it looks like she's gonna be off the hook, which she shouldn't have been on the hook to begin with. But she's gonna have to stay on Earth for a while court thing settles. So we don't know how long she's gonna be here, but that's where the issue basically ends. Next issue, 109. Now that we're back on Earth, we finally get some downtime to see the X-Men just be themselves, right? So we can get to know a little bit more about them. We see Aurora watering her plants, and again just getting butt naked like always for no reason whatsoever. And that's just the way she gets down, right? It just helps her relax. Then we see Colossus writing a letter back home to Russia to his parents. So you know he's really into his parents and family and stuff like that. And Nightcrawler, he's trying to hit the clubs, man. Hasn't been out in a while. He's like, man, I just picked up on some hot girls. Come on, Colossus, let's get out of here for a while and unwind some, right? Jean Grey is happy to see her parents, and she's chatting with them, and as she's chatting with them, she's explaining to them everything that happened in space and how she saved the galaxy, how she turned to the Phoenix, and you know, she's all excited, but also excited to be home. And you know, this was a big experience for her, so she's telling her folks about it. Cyclops here is serious, like always. He's just brooding and looking out the window, watching her speak and whatnot. Nightcrawler tells him, why don't you unwind and come out with us? He tells Nightcrawler, not everything is fun like a circus, and Nightcrawler takes offense to this. So with the exception of Nightcrawler, everybody else decided, let's go for a picnic. So everyone's hanging out at a picnic in this little river. Everything's all good. And then this new character, a member of Alpha Flight, shows up, and he has a past with Wolverine because Wolverine used to work for the Canadian government before he joined the X-Men. And this guy is from the Canadian government. The X-Men spot him. Quick minor fight, nothing major. He says, I can't take another X-Men. He kind of just runs away, right? But it's a way so we get introduced to this new character. So the bulk of this next issue was them unwinding and hanging out, and us as the reader getting to know these characters and what they like to do on their free time. This was basically the end of Dave Cockrum's run, and we're just starting to see the beginning of John Byrne's run. So Dave Cockrum's run was very cosmic. X-Men were constantly in space, big scale situations. John Byrne is introduced here, and he's introducing us to his new story or whatever with Chris Claremont, and it looks like it's gonna be a lot more grounded on Earth and more low stakes, right? So he just introduced us to who's gonna be the villain, I guess, for the next story arc. Seems like it's gonna be Alpha Flight, because John Byrne is Canadian, so it makes sense he wants to bring in the Canadian characters, right? So yeah, that's where we're gonna end this video today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way it'll notify you on your feed when the next video drops. And I know you want to continue these stories, right? So yeah, other than that, I just check you guys out next time.